Hello and welcome. This tutorial is designed to give you an understanding of how to use the directory selector. Over the next few minutes, we will explain what the directory selector is and demonstrate how to use it correctly. This video will give you a complete breakdown on how to use the directory selector. The first part of this video will show you how to navigate through the directories on your server. In step 2, we will show you how to use the manual directory selection. In step 3, we will show you how to correctly select your directory. Before we show you how to use the directory selector, let's give you some background on what your WordPress installation directory is. As an example, let's use test.com. The domain name test.com refers to a unique name that is used to identify a website on the internet. When someone visits test.com, for your website files to be viewable, your domain needs to be connected to a web server. Your website files are stored in a directory on your web server, and we refer to that directory as the document root. When an FTP account is created, depending on your access, you can use your base directory or FTP path as any folder on your web server. Your WordPress installation directory is your FTP path relative to your domain's document root. Keep watching to see how the FTP path relates to the document root. Here we can see the document root. We'll come back to this. We've created 3 FTP accounts. The first FTP account is demo@testtransferitoonnamehero.com. If we look at the base directory we use as our FTP path, it is the full path on the server to the document root. The second FTP account we create is test@testtransferitoonnamehero.com. The base directory we use is not the full path of the document root, but still allows us access. The last FTP account created is base@testtransferitoonnamehero.com. The base directory used here is the highest level of access we can get on our server for our hosting account. This allows us to access all subdirectories on our server. We will now show you how each FTP account that we have just created relates to the document root of this domain. So, let's start by entering our FTP details for the FTP account, base@testtransferitoonnamehero.com. Once your FTP details are validated, you will see the directory selector. As this is our base FTP account, when we scroll through the directories using the scroll bar in the directory selector, we can see that we have access to all the directories in our hosting account. Now, let's have a look at the document root that is associated with the domain. We'll bring Notepad into view so that we remind ourselves of the document root. Our WordPress installation directory is 7 directories deep, so let's navigate to the correct directory. We'll click on Additional, Test, Files, New Site, Staging, 2, then Demo Site, until we get to the correct directory. This is our correct WordPress installation directory. Now click Continue. Once we validate your directory is correct, the database details screen will load. Here we can see that the selected directory is the same as the document root. Let's go back to the FTP screen. Let's now change our FTP username from base@testtransferitoonnamehero.com to test@testtransferitoonnamehero.com. Then click Continue. When the directory selector loads, the starting point is the same as the FTP path used when creating the test FTP account. Let's click on Test, then Files, New Site, Staging 2, then Demo Site, until we get to the correct directory. As you can see, we no longer have the additional directory in the path. Click Continue. When your WordPress installation directory is validated, the database screen will load. The selected directory is not the same as the document root. It's relative to the base directory we used when creating our FTP account. Let's go back to the FTP screen. We'll change test at testtransferito-on-namehero.com to demo at testtransferito-on-namehero.com. Click Continue. The directory selector will load once your FTP details are validated. When we created the demo FTP account, we used the document root as our base directory, so the directory selector should be empty. Perfect. Let's click Continue. When your WordPress installation directory is validated, the database screen will load. The selected directory is adopt, which translates to the root directory. Here we'll show you how we navigate back and forth between the directories on your server. In this example, we'll use the base FTP account as your FTP details. Your directories will be loaded when the directory selector screen loads. The FTP account we're using has access to a number of directories and subdirectories. Click on a directory to browse it. By using your mouse to hover over a directory, you are focusing on that directory. When you click on the name or the folder icon of the directory, you will enter that directory. Navigate to previous directories by clicking the directory names in the FTP path above the directory selector. You can navigate to the root path of your FTP account by clicking on the dot. Then you can continue browsing until you find your WordPress installation directory. In this example, we will use the FTP account demo at testtransferito-on-namehero.com. Once your FTP details have been validated, the directory selector screen will load. If when the loader stops, the path is // and there are no directories, your document root is empty, you can click the Continue button to proceed with your migration.